And that is the end of the episode and the end of this season. And unfortunately, I will not be doing a toast for this season. Y'all, this season was a mess, and you know it doesn't deserve a toast. Hi everyone, my name's Dimitri and welcome back to DimitriTube. Bachelor in Paradise, the finale. Let's talk about it. As always, if you're enjoying my videos, please go ahead and pound that like button, pound that subscribe button, and ring that notification bell. I'm a growing YouTuber and the likes and subscribes really help me out. I am sorry to all of you for the delay on this video, but this actually worked out in my favor because the tea was teeing. Bachelor Nation was on fire on Monday. Sorry, y'all. Just one thing I forgot to mention when I was filming. We were robbed. And we were absolutely robbed this season of an ATFR or After the Final Rose. Out of all the seasons of Bachelor and Bachelor and Bachelor in Paradise I have watched, this season out of all of them deserved an After the Final Rose the most. Seriously, the After the Final Rose would have been just as good, if not better, than Clayton's season. And I'm so disappointed that we were robbed of it because there was so much they could have talked about. And we are going to talk about it. I will waste no time. Let's dive in. Okay, let's start with the messiest couple out of the bunch, Aven and Kylie. Aven and Kylie have a one-on-one. And before I start talking about the one-on-one, I do want to mention two things about Kylie first. I think this was before the wedding or during the wedding. I really liked her outfit. And two, did anyone go through Kylie's comments and figure out how she has kept her hair so straight all of this time in this Mexico humidity? If anyone knows, let me know below in the comments. Cause I'm curious, she has kept her hair perfectly straight this whole season and I'm like, how? Anyways, so Kylie and Aven disagree about engagement. Basically, Aven does not want to get engaged and Kylie does want to get engaged. Kylie says, "How do you feel about engagement?
Why is it an engagement specifically is the only way where you're gonna believe that, like, I see a future with you? Why is me saying I don't want to leave here without you not enough? And now all of a sudden you're unsure."
I obviously know and you don't, which sucks, but whatever.
And then in a confessional, she says,
"When are you gonna be ready? You're almost 30 years old."
And during the conversation, Kylie pulls all the dramatics, and after the talk, she goes and cries to the other girlies. And then later on in the episode, Kylie and Blake have a one-on-one, and Kylie confides in Blake. Kylie feels like she's not enough, and she's basically preparing for a breakup. Let me know below in the comments, but like, what did you think of this Kylie and Blake situation? So I still really cannot make sense of this, but I have two possibilities. First, maybe Blake is like a backup for Kylie. Do y'all think Blake is a possible backup? But the problem with that theory is, to me, Kylie is not really the type of girl to confide in a backup like this. Like, if she was truly considering dating Blake, if things didn't work out with Aven, I don't think she would confide in him in this way. I just don't think she's the type of girl to do that. Basically, I just think Kylie would have been more calculated if she was actually interested in having Blake as a backup. Like, I don't think she would have approached it in this way. And my other theory is just that the women this season can't be trusted. So from what we've seen on the show, it seemed like Kylie was the closest to Mercedes and Kat, but why is she not confiding in them with this information? Like, why is she choosing Blake? And it just makes me feel either they cannot be trusted or their friendships were just so superficial that she needs someone she can actually talk to. And their friendships being super superficial makes sense because of the moment that we saw later in the episode that happened between Kat and Jess, which we're gonna talk about later. After that, Kylie and Aven have a few more one-on-ones, and Aven tells Kylie he says he's falling in love, but he needs more before taking the engagement step. And Kylie responds, "You not reciprocating makes me have doubt." And Kylie also says, "How were you in that headspace for Rachel, but not for me?" And Aven responds, "If we don't get engaged, are we done?" And then he says all Kylie cares about is engagement. And Aven also tells her that engagement will eventually come, and they both decide to leave paradise together. Okay, so let's unpack this. First, the point of this show show is to get engaged. But as we all know, because we've been watching the season, absolutely none of these people have any business getting engaged. But that is the point of the show. And in defense of ABC, I do understand why they keep the engagement. If there were no engagements from this show, there would be literally no stakes, like at all. It would just be people casually dating on a beach. So to up the ante, they require engagements at the end. Or at least they push for engagements at the end. Next, Kylie wants to be engaged. She wants to get married. There is nothing wrong with that. But there are two things that she did say that really irked me. First, she says, when are you going to be ready? You're almost 30 years old. So when she said that, I thought it was kind of funny, but I also thought it was delusional. Some of y'all may disagree with me in the comments, but I feel like most guys in their 20s are not ready to get married. And if you do find a guy who's ready to get married in his 20s, that's more so the exception, not the rule. But I do understand my views are just somewhat skewed. I live in DC and I grew up in Northern Virginia, and for people to get married in their 20s is just very rare from what I've seen. And when it comes to Kylie, I just call her slightly delusional because in my head, I'm wondering, Kylie, do you really come across that many guys in their 20s who are truly ready to get married? But again, maybe that is her worldview and I'm just having trouble seeing it. Next, if you made it this far in the video, please go ahead and pound that like button for the YouTube algorithm. The next thing Kylie said that irked me was, how were you in that headspace for Rachel, but not for me? Ciao. When she said that, it just screamed insecurity. Why are you comparing yourself with one of Aven's exes? That is a totally different relationship, a totally different person, and it has absolutely nothing to do with you and your relationship. And also, I don't exactly remember, but I thought one of the reasons Rachel got rid of Aven was because he wasn't ready to get engaged. I don't remember exactly, but I thought Rachel made it clear she wanted to be engaged, but only Tino and Zach were open to actually getting engaged. I thought Aven was unsure, so that's why she let him go. If somebody remembers, put it in the comments. Anyways, Aven tells Kylie that engagement will eventually come and he's falling in love with her. And when contestants say things like this, I'm just like, well, just get engaged now. I felt the exact same way about Matt James and Rachel. If you love this woman, you care about her, you know she's the one, then just go ahead and get engaged now. And there are so many benefits to getting engaged now. You have ABC professional cameras, great lighting, you get a spread in People magazine, you get a Neil Lane ring, like you'll get a ton of clout in Bachelor Nation. There are a lot of bonuses to being engaged that I do think make sense for you to get engaged now. But in Aven's defense, I do think that is the reason why Kylie wants to get engaged now, because she wants all of those things that come along with the engagement if you get engaged in this moment. So anyways, fast forward to after the show and we find out that Kylie and Aven are no longer together due to Aven cheating on Kylie. And Aven posted this on his Instagram account. Pause the video if you want to read it all, but he admits to cheating and he apologizes to Kylie and his friends and his family. And Kylie posted this message on her Instagram account. Pause the video if you want to read it. And she specifically says their relationship dissolved due to multiple infidelities and she needs time to heal right now. And let me tell y'all, this was not on my 2021 bingo card. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I didn't expect them to stay together, but I also was not expecting Aven to cheat on her and that be the reason they broke up. And I honestly just have one big question. So this was posted, I think, Saturday or Sunday night. And I'm curious, did Kylie find out that day? This season of Paradise was filmed in like June. So that's about 6 months. So did she really just find this out like a few days ago? Or did she find out earlier and she just didn't post the tea until now? Like, that's pretty much the only question I have. And I know Aven was getting dragged in the comments. Like, I was gonna check his account again, but he has since deactivated his Instagram. So I guess the people were coming for him like crazy and he just couldn't, he just went ahead and said no. And as we all know, cheating is wrong. You should not do that. But in Aven's defense, I will say I'm glad he didn't get engaged to her and then cheat on her. I'm glad they didn't get engaged. Okay, let's move on to some lighter fare. Now let's talk about Tanner and Jess. So when the episode starts, Mercedes and Jess, actually throughout the whole episode, Mercedes Mercedes and Jess are kind of moping around the beach, deciding what's left for them in paradise, and they feel like there's nothing, there's no hope, etc., etc. And this is the exact reason I would have rather have had Blake and Tyler stay in paradise over Mercedes and Jess. They're just moping around the beach. If we kept Tyler and Blake, at least they would have been fun. And it's just interesting because do y'all remember Aaron and James from last season? All of their chances for love were ruined, but they still were a blast to watch on TV and they still had fun. Like, why can't Mercedes and Jess be like that? Next, Jess and Kat have this very weird moment at the bar on the beach. Kat goes up to Jess and like tries to talk to her, and Jess is just not having it at all, and she ends up walking away from Kat. So in general, the friendships this season to me are just so weird, and this is what I think happened. So I think Kat, Kylie, and Mercedes were like the core group of women, and Jess was cool with all of them, but she was not very close with all of them. And there have been moments like this all season where it's very clear the contestants don't want to talk about something on camera. For example, when Kat and Eliza went to the bathroom to have that kiki regarding Aaron, they were not trying to have that conversation on camera. And just like now, this was a conversation that Jess either just did not want to have on camera or just did not want to have with Kat right then and there in that moment. And also, I just don't think they're that cool either. Anyways, so Jess and Tanner end up having a one-on-one, and Jess tells Tanner that she gave him the rose because she was hopeful, but she's still not over the breakup with Blake. And I knew this was gonna happen. Jess needs time to heal. She's not quick to bounce back. So keeping her on this beach from the jump made no sense. Like, we would have been better off just keeping Blake on the beach. And Tanner was very understanding to her, and he ends up leaving paradise, and so does Jess. And overall, the exits during this finale were so dramatic. Like, they were all so dramatic. Like, why are these people acting like they're not gonna hang out in San Diego or LA after this? Like, I just don't get it. Next, real quick word on Mercedes. So Mercedes has a one-on-one with Jordan, and she tells him she doesn't feel the spark, and she decides to go home. So don't get me wrong, I love Mercedes, and I think she's a great person, but this just came across as a little toxic to me. It seems like she's just chasing a spark. She said there's no spark with Jordan, so she wants to end it, and then she had that spark issue with Tyler as well, and it just makes me feel like all she's doing is chasing a spark. But if that's what she's chasing, things just aren't gonna end well for her. Your life is not a Hallmark movie. Sometimes connections take time to build, and I think in the future, she needs to give her relationships a little more time to build and not expect a spark, because that just seems like what she's doing. Next, I'm just gonna keep it going with these minor relationships. This is going to be very quick, so I'm just going to talk about the rest of the minor relationships, and then we'll talk about Aaron and Eliza and Kat and John Henry. The next thing I want to talk about is the Mari and Kenny wedding. So ABC brings in Mari and Kenny to basically encourage the other couples to get married and that this process works. And honestly, would y'all take marriage advice from Mari and Kenny? Like, honestly, would y'all take advice from them? Because I wouldn't. And yes, they are a successful paradise couple, but I think Joe and Serena or Hannah G and Dylan would have been a better pick for this. Also, when Mari and Kenny came on here, they had no charisma and like barely any energy. Where was the energy? They were at like a 6, but we really needed them to be at an 11. Like, they very much seemed very over it. And yes, I get it. This, I believe, was their third wedding. I think they had a wedding in the States. They had another wedding in Puerto Rico. And now I guess this is their third wedding. So yeah, I guess they're over it. But come on, ham it up. Act like you want to be there. And sidebar, Eliza's yellow dress during this wedding was really cute. Next, let's talk about Sam and Peter. So they have a one-on-one, and Sam tells Peter they should be further, but she's grateful for what they have. And then she says she doesn't want to continue in this relationship. And honestly, Sam just didn't give a It was clear to me from the jump that she didn't really like that man. And then Peter hops in the Uber XL and he gets super emotional and cries and says he went to 12 weddings last year and is tired of the hookups. And I'm a horrible person. I thought this was kind of funny. And then after that, Michael and Olivia break up, and at this point, it's just an all-out massacre. So Olivia opens up to Michael and says she's like interested in pursuing something more with him, etc., etc. And Michael responds and says he doesn't want to pursue this any further because they're just in two different places. And this is just my opinion. I don't think this was a very big deal. They weren't together very long, and the stakes in the relationship weren't very high in general. And then when Olivia gets in the Uber XL, she does not shed one tear, and the producer asks if she's okay, and she's like, I'm good. And the fact that she didn't share any emotions about Michael leads me to what I thought in the first place is like she didn't really like him that much anyway. And after all of that was said and done, Jesse Palmer pans to the camera and he's like, well, that was rough. And at that point, I was like, am I watching Bachelor in Paradise or am I watching Survivor? Okay, now let's move on to Eliza and Aaron. So earlier in the episode, Eliza and Aaron have a date with the shaman. The dates this season have been terrible, and I really don't like the shaman dates, so I really don't have much to say. But I will say, Aaron looked so hot during this date. If you disregard personality, Aaron is a beautiful man, and he looked so good on this date. Like, y'all, I will admit, I was thirsting a bit. Anyway, so later on in the episode, Eliza and Aaron do end up getting engaged, and I'm looking at my notes and like I really don't have anything to say on them. They have a few conversations, but it's really nothing of substance. But before they get engaged, Aaron tells Eliza that he's in love with her, and Eliza says she's freaking out because she only wants to do engagement once. And Aaron responds, her freaking out makes him want to protect her and love her the way she needs to be loved. And I will say, I did think that was very cute. And Eliza's engagement dress was cute. I thought the flowers on it were unnecessary, but I loved the shape, the cut, and the slit. And I love the color of the dress. I thought it was very pretty. Anyways, so after the episode ends, we receive absolutely no updates from Eliza or Aaron. We didn't get an update until Monday? Hold on, let me look this up. Aaron posted this either on Monday or Tuesday. I can't remember the day, but pause the video if you want to read the whole thing. But long story short, Eliza and Aaron broke up and the split was amicable. So I did a long form video with Deb from All the Right Reasons and their channel. I'll post the link above if you want to watch. But when I was talking to Deb, I figured that Aaron and Eliza had broken up because Eliza is the type where if she's engaged and in love and about to be married, she's the type where she would shout it from the rooftops. So for the finale to happen and her not post anything, it was clear to me that they had broken up. And then on the finale, Eliza was freaking out over the engagement because she wanted to do it once and do it right. So if this was done right, she would have immediately posted updates from their engagement immediately after the show ended, but she didn't do that. The silence made it very clear to me that they were probably breaking up or were gonna break up. And lastly, let's talk about John Henry and Kat, which was definitely the wild card couple of the season. So during the episode, Kat and John Henry go paddleboarding, and again, the dates this season are just so fucking weak. And after the date, Kat and John Henry have a one-on-one, and Kat says she puts on a tough exterior and says she struggled with a lot during childhood and wants to change generational trauma, and there's only one married couple in the family and she has a very big family. So I think it is very noble of Kat to want to have a strong and steady relationship and change the generational trauma in her family by being able to hold a relationship. But at the same time, that is putting a lot of pressure on herself and on her relationship. And then we go through the episode, Kat and John Henry end up going to the fantasy suites, and Kat tells him that he's the best man she's ever met in her life. And when Kat said that, I will admit, it just felt like the bar was a little low. And before the engagement, John Henry was having his doubts, but he decided to take a leap of faith and follow his gut and get engaged to Kat. And at the end, I was very much rooting for Kat and John Henry. So when I saw Eliza and Aaron's engagement, I was not not convinced, and I was pretty sure that they were not going to last as a couple. But then when we saw Kat and John Henry's engagement, I was more so convinced. Like, their relationship definitely had a little bit of redemption, and not only was I rooting for them, but I actually got some of the feels for them. And I actually had more of a feeling that their relationship could actually last. And a lot of people on social were having mixed feelings for Kat. Like, they pretty much did not like her all season, and they were not about to root for her during this engagement. But I personally love seeing stories like this unfold on reality TV because people are more complex than that. They're not just good or evil. And when it comes to Kat, I am fully capable of liking a person, but not liking all of their actions. And that's very much where Kat falls for me. And overall, I really like John Henry, and I think for me, it's more so I want John Henry to win. And if Kat's part of that, it doesn't bother me, but it's more so I just want John Henry to win. Anyways, so fast forward to a couple days ago, John Henry and Kat post these two statements on their respective Instagram accounts. Pause the video if you want to read the whole thing. Basically, they broke up, it was mutual, and they said they broke up due to conflicting career goals. And personally, this is just what I think. I can't prove it, but I think Kat wants to move to LA and try to be an influencer, and John Henry actually wants a wife and wants to settle down and have more of a small town life back in North Carolina or Virginia Beach or wherever he's near. And I only feel this way because specifically they said they broke up due to career goals, and Kat is a nurse, and for the most part, you can be a nurse anywhere, whereas John Henry, his job seems a little more specialized, and I don't know if he'll be able to move anywhere. And I feel like they could have figured that out, but because they could not figure it out, it just makes me feel like Kat more than likely wanted to build on this influencer lifestyle. But again, I can't prove it. That's just how I feel. And the last couple I want to mention before wrapping up the video is Christina, Mandrell, and Brayden. They're apparently dating. So this relationship was definitely very surprising and came out of left field. Like, I didn't expect this at all. But in their defense, I do think their personalities together do make sense, but we'll see how this goes and if they can last. And I'm actually curious if they're long distance, because I think she lives in Tennessee and he lives in San Diego. And two more things I want to say about this. First, their relationship does seem a little clout chasey to me, but to me, Brayden does not seem to be the type to get in a relationship simply for clout. Like, yes, a lot of people purposely fool us on social media, but I don't think Brayden specifically would do that. And second thing I want to say, Christina Mandrell has a child, and I just don't think he's ready to be a dad. Like, Brayden to me seems like he could be a fun uncle. Like, I don't know if he has any siblings with kids. Like, I think if he had a niece or a nephew, he could easily do something fun with them for a couple hours and then give the kid back to their own parents. But for him to be a dad 24/7, like, I just don't think he's quite ready for that. But who knows? Maybe he'll surprise us. And that is the end of the episode and the end of this season. And unfortunately, I will not be doing a toast for this season. Y'all, this season was a mess, and you know it doesn't deserve a toast. But on the bright side, I will be back for Joey's season in January. So happy holidays to all of you, and I hope to see you all in the new year. And I don't know if y'all noticed, but I put on like a cute little Christmas sweater for y'all. And that's the end of the video. So as always, if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and pound that like button, pound that subscribe button, and ring that notification bell, and I will see you all next time. Have a good one. Bye.